I'm here with Republican Jewish Coalition CEO Matt Brooks. You've just walked off the stage at the Republican National Convention. Absolute barn burner of a speech about why Jewish American voters should support Donald Trump. Not just about supporting Israel, but now about stopping the anti-Semitic mobs that are in our cities and on college campuses. How did it feel to be up there, and what was your impression of the crowd's reaction to your speech?
I mean, I was just blown away by the warmth. I meant what I said in my remarks, that when I asked everybody to shout if they support Israel and the whole room goes into this deafening roar, you can't do that at the Democratic convention. Literally, if anybody stood up there and said that, they would literally be booed off the stage. No cheers for Israel. And so it was, made me feel very much at home as to why I love this Republican Party and the people who make it, the grassroots people who make it up, and why, as I said in my remarks, there is only one pro-Israel party, and it's the Republican Party.
It was already clear years ago that Democrats were moving in an anti-Israel direction. Very famously at the 2012 convention, when Obama was running for a second term, they had to change their platform back to something supporting Israel, and it got booed by probably 2/3 of the people on the floor, and the chair had to pretend that the motion passed. This is even worse now.
Yeah, I mean, that was the canary in the coal mine. I remember at the time pointing out, it's only going to get worse from here. This is a glimpse into the future of where the Democratic Party is heading. And you're exactly right. It's only gotten worse. And more importantly, it's gotten more acceptable. It used to be in the if you were anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, whatever, it was more hushed tones. Now it's out in the open. Now it's absolutely overt. Israel is a genocide state. Israel is an apartheid state. Israel is guilty of war crimes. All of the rhetoric coming out of the Democrats now is seen as being perfectly acceptable and not condemned, but rather condoned.
Now, there are some, particularly in the press within the Jewish community, who are doubting whether there's going to be a big shift among Jewish voters. You hear about it anecdotally, but they point to some of the polls that have been taken, and they say, well, yes, over the long term, more Jewish voters are choosing the Republican Party, but this election's not going to be the great watershed that Republicans think it's going to be. What do you think?
I don't think there's ever going to be, and I've said it all along, I don't think there's ever going to be a watershed. There's never going to be an election, I think, because of the structural makeup of the electorate, where we're going to wake up and all of a sudden there's going to be a 30-point shift and Republicans are getting 70% of the Jewish vote and Democrats are getting 30. But what we are seeing, it's the old, the analogy I use is the old story about the frog in the boiling water. The way to boil a frog is you keep turning the temperature up 1 degree, 1 degree. If you throw a frog into a hot pot, boiling hot water, he'll just jump right out. And you just got to, do it incrementally. And that's what we're doing in the Jewish community. I mean, election by election, bit by bit, we're continuing to build and increase the share of the Jewish vote for the Republicans.
What would you say to the small but vocal contingent in the Republican Party, particularly in the America First movement, who are skeptical of all foreign aid, of all assistance, military or otherwise, to American allies abroad, and who say that they're tired of hearing about Israel and our support for Israel? What would you say to convince those people that you can have an America First policy and a pro-Israel policy?
I would point out the fact, and this is something that J.D. Vance has said, is if you look at his speech to the Quincy Institute and other places where he has spoken, he understands that a strong U.S.-Israel relationship, funding foreign aid, to Israel, all benefits America. It means a strong U.S.-Israel relationship means a strong Israel means a strong U.S. And the enemies that Israel has are the same enemies that America has. And the war and the clash of civilizations that is taking place in the Middle East is a microcosm for a broader clash that's taking place around the world. And so, unlike other places where it's hard to make the connection, I would argue that there is an unbelievable, unbreakable, undeniable benefit to what we do in Israel as a bulwark for American interests at home and around the world.
Moving away from foreign policy for a second, is there grounds for agreement with those center-left voters on issues like the Second Amendment, where Jews are starting to take an interest in firearms for self-protection, protecting the community, or education reform, where Jews want to have kids in private school or religious school, but there's no voucher programs in liberal states? how effective is that message in bringing people?
I think it's effective. Look at how many Jews, not just conservative Republicans. Look at how many Jews are fleeing the urban cities, not just because of the issues of law and order and safety, but because they can't educate their kids, because they have confiscatory tax policies. They want to move to places where they can keep more of their earnings. People, left, right, and center are all impacted in the Jewish community by the weak economy that we have under President Biden, with high interest rates and high inflation. So I think all of those things are going to impact, and it's one of the reasons that not just in the Jewish community, but in the electorate as a whole, why President Biden's numbers are so abysmal, even before the debate gaffe and the controversy following the debate. His numbers, his approval numbers were historically low for any president, and people understood that, and I think that's going to help bring Jewish voters along with us as well.